Hello, one and all. This is Baka, a show where we talk about all things anime and manga, from news to reviews and everything in between. I am your host, Frankfurtter, and with me is my co host, the non karate chopper, Magically Average. Today, we are going to talk about summer 2022 anime in review, but before that, Mr. Average, Mr. Karate Chop, not Karate Chopper, how are you?
Where does that even come from?
Before the show, you said you were going to chop me or something like that, and so I just thought of that.
Did
That's what.
I?
Yeah, we can roll back the tape later.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to. I'm gonna challenge flag that. I need a video review.
Mm-hmm. It happened. Don't worry about it. But
All
yeah,
right.
you doing good, Mister
Yeah.
Busybody?
No, dude, this was a scramble to finish up watching some of these summer shows. I've been. I think I said it on a previous podcast, but I have been very busy. Um, not an exaggeration, but like these last 2.5 months have just been utter craziness and chaos at the household.
Yeah.
From traveling to work stuff to just general home life, it's been a lot. So like finding the time to sit down and watch through a couple episodes has been very hard, so much so that over the last 2 days I think I watched a total of 12 to 13 episodes just to get ready for this podcast. So yay, and I
Yeah,
didn't even finish everything.
that did be a lot of
Uh,
episodes.
yeah, and I didn't even finish everything that I wanted to. So it is what it is.
Pity. Well,
I
fair
don't know.
enough. But speaking of shows you didn't even get to finish that you wanted to, please tell us. In summer 2022, actually, I'll get back to you. I'll set this up and then I'll come back to you. I'll swing it your way in a sec. Um,
Wow, what a
Summer
tease.
2022, there we kind of hyped it up. We sort of kind of hyped it up. We knew that there were shows coming out that we were looking forward to. We knew that there were shows that we wanted to watch, but let's start out with a list of shows that we just kind of fell off of throughout the season. I can begin in which my list was unfortunate. It's a lot longer than yours, and it's not for the lack of trying. It's the just like I don't know. We'll get more into it. But when will a Yumu make his move? Teppen, Engage Kiss, Classroom of the Elite, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, and The Devil's a Part Timer Season 2. Those were all the shows that I at least watched one episode of and then just fell off of. Whether it be Engage Kiss, where it had a graphic makeout scene at the very beginning, and I was like, nope, I'm good. This ain't me. Or to Classroom of the Elite, where I got 7 episodes in, and it was one of those things of, I'm just gonna wait for the rest of it to come out before I watch it all because I don't like this type of show specifically. I don't like waiting. Like I don't like waiting week to week to watch what happens
Yeah,
next because since they do a good job of explaining a story and it's a mystery for all intents and purposes of like who's gonna win whatever trial is going on next. That it was one of those things that I kept getting frustrated having to wait week to week. So around episode 7, I stopped watching. Not for the because I hated it or disliked it. I actually thought it was very good and enjoyable,
yeah.
especially because it just straight went into season 2 material. Did not give you a recap. As like, here we go, full tilt. Here's season 2. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I just kind of fell off of it because I wanted to wait for the rest. But yeah, there were a few duds in this list compared to what I want to go back to, but those are the shows that I unfortunately kind of unfortunately fell off of.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, sometimes.
for me, the ones that I fell off of were purposeful. Um, the maid I recently hired is mysterious. The main issue with that one was that it came out like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks after everything else had like already premiered. So well behind. I watched the first 2 episodes and it wasn't interesting. It was just kind of like I didn't even really care about like the why is she mysterious aspect or like does she have ties to this family? None of it was like anything that intrigued me or really captured me. So I was like, boring. Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. Gave it a shot. I thought this could be a really interesting isekai. Yes, it's a harem, obviously. Um, and, call me a fool, for giving it high hopes or thinking that it could be something good, knowing that it had 3 different versions, like
You
the
horny
censored,
bastard.
the uncensored, and like the super uncensored. Like I get it, okay? Like I knew what I was getting into, but I was like, you know what? It's an isekai. It looked good, like visually, just from like the trailers and everything, and it was interesting to kind of see what was going to happen. Like maybe our dude gets isekai'd and becomes this knight in shining armor that goes about and completely disrupts the entire, I don't know, like adventuring landscape, or like how all these different women are treated, because there's a lot of slaves and slavery's still a thing and you can buy slaves and they're mostly all women. uh no, no, dude just goes full on in, like, I'm in, meets up with this bastardly old dude and who's like, hey, you like that chick? She'll let you do it all kinds of ways to her. Want to buy her? She's expensive. Go out and adventure, come back. And he's like, boy, oh boy, guess I got a mission on my hand. And I was like, well, no, I'm not gonna watch an MC that is completely on board with the idea of slavery being cool.
Yeah.
Just was not, it wasn't enough. We have a mutual in the Discord server that actually, I think they watched it all the way through, um, and they said it was good. Like for an isekai and as a show as a whole, it was good. But I don't know. There was a lot of aspects about it I just couldn't get through. The main one being that it sort of not like glorified it, but it definitely like made it seem okay. The idea that, like, yeah, slavery is just a normal thing here, and it's, even though you came from a world where slavery had been abolished, and that's just such a archaic concept. Now you're like, oh yeah, no, it's cool if I'm here and it's still a thing. Like, I don't know, why not? I'm like, makes you
Mm,
feel really dirty. Not to mention, like, the other piece to it in the censored version was that you couldn't understand half the dialogue because it was getting beeped every fucking 5 seconds. They'd be talking and half the sentence would be blurred out and then bleeped. And I'm like, I don't really understand what you're saying. I assume it's really nasty and dirty, but it's just really hard to even understand what's going on in the scene. So I don't know. There's a lot wrong with it. If you're super horny and want to go find like the ultra uncensored version, I don't even know where to go for it. The only one I could find was just the censored one on Crunchyroll. But all power to you if you want to go find it and watch a bunch of women enslaved to this one dude go adventuring and get put into precarious situations. So,
yeah,
and promiscuous positions.
fantasy settings can be very fucking weird when it comes to stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and I understand that they're trying to keep in line with, like, this is normalized back then. Like it's not this, outdated thing.
Yeah.
It's like slavery it existed, like and we're just happened to be in this timeline where it still exists. Like I get it, but to it's when you have your MC who is not from that era, like didn't grow up with it, isekai into it and going, well, I might as well assimilate, blend in, get on board with this whole slavery thing. Like that's when I'm like, like,
Yeah.
not
I
cool.
mean, you could also blame Shield Hero a little bit for that. They definitely do that as well, and
Yeah,
like they make it seem like, oh, when they become his slaves, like they also get more empowered because they kind of go up to his power level. But it's also just like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't.
yeah.
This feels icky.
It's and again, like, creative freedom, I get it, I understand it, whatever, but it just seems like it's such a really dirty thing
Yeah.
to be like, we're gonna add some additional element to make it feel like it's not as bad as it used to be. Like, it's still fantasy. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's, the idea and the concept of it, that still remains the same. So I don't know, I just couldn't get through it. Again, all power to you if you could.
Did
Definitely will not
you
be coming back to this.
did you mention your last show that you dropped?
No, because I wanted to spend some time since we had it high
Since we what?
on. So since we put it really high, we were super excited for it. I want to leave that last.
Okay.
Stop
Well, it
spoiling
is his
shit.
last, isn't it? Because I'm just gonna
No,
ask you what
I,
you would want to go back to.
No. I wanted to talk about The Devil is a Part-Timer. I didn't put it in order on our sheet. Just calm down. Let me do my thing. I'm
I just
rolling. I'm
asked if you.
flowing.
Oh my god.
Cool your
Okay.
shit. The last one that I didn't finish, and for other reasons too, that I was super, super excited about, This Devil is a Part-Timer, which you just kind of glossed over, sir. You didn't even give it like the light of day as to why
Well,
we
it didn't
stopped.
deserve it.
That's exactly what I was going to get at, is that it did not deserve the light of day at all. And this was a show that we were both,
Oh,
as
I was
well as many
super
fellow,
excited for this.
yeah, as well as other many fellow anime watchers out there who had seen it when it first came out too. Uh, super excited about the season 2. Where are we going to leave off? What's going to happen? What's this little baby thing that was came out of fucking nowhere? Um, yeah, no, it was garbage. It was, the animation aside, which was downright grotesque at times. Like, there were scenes where I just was like, I have to watch this 5 times over because I can't believe it made it through
Like the
quality
Comey
control.
fisheye, the fucking
Oh
people.
yeah, but like multiple times where there was like, ugh. Um, Animation aside, boy, that story was stinky, and boy, oh boy, were like nothing. It felt like nothing was happening at all, but yet a shit ton of stuff went down. Like more lore was being built out, and there was more things you had to follow along with this tree of whatever where the little baby kid came from, and ties to whomever, and then the kid becomes a fucking weapon or some shit. Like, I'm like, dude, I don't go back to him
You,
making French fries and burgers and fighting other devil, people from
yeah.
the other world. Like, just go back to that. That was cool. That was interesting. That was funny. Don't do like this whole like, you have a mission now and it's deep into the lore of the other. Like, I don't fucking care.
You
No one
have a
cares.
child.
Yeah, you have a baby on your hands now. Go forth.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't finish the show. I didn't finish this show, let alone get that far. I got an episode in thinking I would come back to it and just never did.
no, I mean, I think I watched 3 or 4 episodes and could not could care less about the story, could care less about the character progressions, which, like, they took 5 steps back with most of the characters.
And guess
It
what?
was really bad.
And guess what? It's getting a season 3.
Oh joy. I honestly didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's officially a season 3, but it's getting a follow up next year.
Ugh.
Next year at
Ugh.
some point. So,
Well, there is a
yay!
manga to this too.
Yeah,
There's a
there
manga
is.
that's got a lot of volumes
That's why
from what I
people are
remember.
like, bring it back, bring it back. And
Yeah,
just
yeah, I get it.
they did,
I
and
mean,
they
I
shouldn't.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
I
that
get
or
it.
they should have waited until after everything that's airing this current season, being fall 2022. They should have waited for after that, because I feel like everybody wants to work on those shows that are coming up this season that they were kind of like on the C roll of some shows this season, and I
Yeah.
think that Devil's a Part Timer kind of was one of those shows.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, it doesn't excuse the fact that the
I guess the story,
everything
if the
about it
story is
was
that kind of interesting, then yeah.
everything about it just seemed like like they were in a meeting and they were like, "What show do we want to do again?" And someone said Devil is a Part-Timer, and then they laughed and then went, "Well, maybe we could." And then speed rushed through it, realizing like, "Oh shit, okay, people are still talking about the original. Yeah, let's give them a season 2." And just didn't even think twice about it.
Do you know
They're
how many
like,
light novels this series has?
light
Not
novels?
even manga. Manga, there's 19. Do you want to know how
Yeah, I
many
was gonna say
light
there's.
novels?
I'm gonna go, well, based on your face. I'm gonna say a crazy number like 28.
You were nearly there. 27.
Oh my god,
There are
27 light novels.
27 light novels, and it ended in 2020.
First off, um, I don't read light novels most of the time.
Me neither.
I feel like this one is such a weird one to have as a light novel.
Well, it started as a light novel.
I know, but like, imagine having
Is
like
it because it doesn't
reading.
have like a huge ass title attached to it,
No,
like most light
no,
novels do?
no. Yeah, like the ones where it's like the title itself is a light novel, like
I
just reading
leveled
the
up my
title.
farming skills, and because of
Yeah,
that, I'm really super strong.
yeah, whatever. No, it's just like if you think about like the characters and the setting and like everything, you would imagine it being much better as a comic, as a manga, to
Yeah.
set up everything, as opposed to like the devil sits behind the counter and a patron comes in and it's day 2 of being an employee at McDonald's. Like, oh boy, this is riveting stuff. I guess this is where season 2 kind of comes in, because it's all just like heavy lore and backstory and stuff. So I don't know. It Moral of the story though is that Devil is a Part-Timer season 2 was garbage, but I might have to just power through it if there is going to be a season 3, because I don't know.
Well,
I want to give it a second try.
speaking of powering through shows, what are some, like, out of everything you've dropped and everything you kind of didn't watch this season, like didn't get
Yeah.
the time to watch, like what would you want to go back to? Because I know I have like a fairly long list of things that I actually do want to go watch.
Yeah, I mean the easy one for me is Overlord. I'd watched through half of it, and I'd been watching it weekly, and then it became one of those shows where I was like, ah, I don't have time to watch this one today. I want to watch Call of the Night, or I want to watch Don Machi. And then that ended up being 7 weeks straight of like, oh shit, I am so behind on Overlord. But I do want to finish it, because Overlord, through the first 5 weeks, was my top show. Like the way that the story was going and how they were pulling it in from season 3, and
Mm-hmm.
like just the entire like premise of what they were pushing was so fucking cool that I was like, yes, this is what I want from the next season of Overlord. Like, I don't want them like going off and capturing another village, or you know destroying another army. Like, I want them exploring the world, going beyond the Tomb of Nazareth and like their home base, and then like the city that they beat in the season 3, which I think is just called the Magic Kingdom or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I was like, yes, they're venturing off, and then I just stopped. So I I do want to finish that, because I am really excited about how it was going, and want to see how it finishes.
Fair enough. I know for me, the one that I most want to go back to is definitely Classroom of the Elite. As I said, I watched about 7 episodes of it before I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait until it all comes out, because I'm really enjoying this, but I don't enjoy the absolute major cliffhangers that they kind of go off on. And it's just like, I'll just wait. I'll just wait until it's all out. Like, this isn't that immediate need show. This isn't at the top of my list of the season that I'm absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
This is just one of those shows that I've been watching. Whenever there's a new episode, I'll just watch it in the middle of the night and call it a day. But yeah, this to me, that's like the one show that I really do want to go back to. Um, there are a few others that I started that I do want to, like, again, really go back and watch to see if it's any good. The biggest one that's still a giant question mark for me is Teppen. I watched that first episode. Episode 2 got canceled, and then brought back later, and then it went straight into episode 3, and I watched episodes 1 and 3, and I was just like, this feels weird. I feel like I lost a lot with not watching episode 2, and now that it's all out there, I want to watch the whole entire show and see if it actually is a good comedy and holds up or not. But
Mhm.
yeah, Teppen to me is one of those shows. And then same with Ayumu. When will Ayumu make his move? You finished that. That one I did not finish. I don't know why. It was one of those shows that, as I'm watching it, like, going to bed, it was like the last one on the list consistently of things I was going to watch. So I'd inevitably fall asleep during it, because reading in bed in a dark room, they don't go hand in hand very well. They
Yeah.
go hand in hand if you want to try and sleep, but otherwise they don't really go hand in hand. So I absolutely adore the source material for When Will Ayumu Make His Move, which is why I'm kind of like less worried to get to it. But that's a show that I do really want to go back to, because I do enjoy the source material, and what I watched of it was very good. So it's just a thing that I'll eventually have to get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then whenever the whole English dub for A Devil Is a Part Timer comes out, I'll just watch that during work, because that's kind of what I did that with season 1, even though I'd watched The Devil is a Part-Timer way back when as well. But
Mhm.
I redid that with season 1 and it worked fine. I got out of it as much as I did when I watched it the first time. So it's like, great. I'll just watch this whenever it all comes out in English and call it a day. But there are two shows that I did not start that I heard were very good or I know are pretty, like, I know the source material is very good. The one source material that I know people enjoy, that people really like, that I really want to watch is The Girl from the Other Side. They had I think it was it Wit? Wit maybe did them. I believe it was like an OVA or a 3 episode short series. Uh, but that one looked really interesting. I really want to watch that. And then Futo Pi. I don't know if it's Pi P Pe. I don't know. I hear really good things about it. I don't really know much about it, but I hear great things. So it's one of those things that I do really, really want to watch. It started halfway through the season and it's still going right now. That I'm just like, maybe, maybe one
Yeah.
day. But yeah, I feel like there are a decent amount of shows I want to go back to. Whether or not they're all, end strong or not is to be determined in my book. But it kind of speaks a little bit of volumes of the shows that I fell off of and the shows that, I do want to go back and watch. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But I know you have and there's also the one show that you have on your list as well that I did not put on my list because it stopped halfway through the season and then is coming back soon if it hasn't already. But Uncle from
Yeah.
Another World,
Yeah. Uncle from
which
Another
I
World
do want to
was
start and finish once it's all out. But tell us a bit about it.
it's so funny. Yeah, well, I guess to just highlight the what was happening with the show too. They originally they had a COVID outbreak like at the beginning of the season that delayed an episode by I want to say like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I think they had another outbreak just past the halfway point. So they decided that they were going to simply re-air the episodes that had already been airing to finish out the summer season, and then they were going to air the entirety of the season again in fall. So like from the beginning, basically.
Which I wonder
So,
what type of strings they had to pull to get like rights
dude, I
to
don't know.
fucking
Well,
air it in Japan because I know
it,
that those things are like booked out seasons in advance.
yeah, I don't know about the airing it in Japan. I assume that was a headache and a half to figure out. But I mean, lucky for them, they're on Netflix, so they're not having to like do this battle of like Crunchyroll being like, we got to be at the top of Crunchyroll's homepage or like even High Dive too now. Like
Yeah.
they were like, okay, thankfully we're on Netflix. There's only like a handful of new anime coming out each season that goes to Netflix. One or two really. So they had that going for them. But yeah, this show is hilarious. The the animation alone is really like they do a really good job with it. It's kind of I wouldn't say crude, but it has a very like unique, interesting art style to it that it definitely lends itself to like more to the humor side as well, with just how they utilize that art style for a lot of like the different facial features and scene settings and stuff like that. So that alone is funny. But basically, guy goes into a coma at a young age, wakes up I think 17 years later, and still retains his powers from when he was isekai'd. When he wakes up from his coma and his nephew comes and gets him, and what ensues is just a whole lot of hilarity and funny skits and diving back into his days as an adventurer in the other world. So it is a lot of fun. It's definitely like a different take on an isekai, and it's in that same realm of like Konosuba, where they make fun of a lot of those isekai tropes. So it's not if you're looking for like an isekai, don't watch Uncle from Another World. But if you like humor in isekai, or you can laugh at all of those dumb isekai cliches, then for sure go watch Uncle from Another World. Like was really really funny. Um, and will definitely be on my list. It's just unfortunate that now it's coming out in its entirety in fall, so it's becoming a little bit more cramped to fit it
Yeah.
in to the watch schedule, but I do want to finish it.
Yeah, I just read it. Episode 8 is coming back on November 24th. So,
Yeah, so I think they're lining it up with as if the episodes were coming out in fall.
yeah.
So yeah, so they did like a weird thing to finish out the summer season portion, and then they're just basically hitting the restart button at the beginning of the fall season. So again, like really unfortunate for them. Um, hope everyone is well and healthy at the studio, and because yeah, I mean, I want this show to come out in its entirety because boy oh boy, it was a lot of fun watching those first, but I think 6 episodes, 7 episodes they were out in English
7,
or
yeah.
out, it's not out in English, but out in the United States.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, definitely gonna watch that.
Fair enough. With that being said, if there's anything you want to talk about for shows you want to go back to, I would talk about it now. Otherwise, we will go into shows that we did finish.
The last one is just My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. It again, weird title. A lot of people got thrown off by it. Thought it was really interesting as a slice of life. Again, different premise. Still has that kind of like ick feeling, but they do a good job of walking around it and adding in some other characters that add a different layer to that whole like weirdness situation about it. So I want to go back and watch it because it was interesting. I do want to see how it ends, but not a top priority, I would say.
Fair
But
enough.
definitely we'll go watch that before I watch anything else I've named. Looking at you, devil, as a part timer.
Yeah, I feel like that. Okay, to be fair, at least The Devil is a Part Timer isn't nearly as bad as what season 2 of Promise Neverland is. I don't think anything can really fucking beat how bad that show was. Because oh boy, was it bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're comparing like the
Apples to
worst thing.
oranges.
Yeah, it's not. Well, no, you're comparing like apples to fucking name something awful in the world. Like,
Durian?
sure, durian fruit. I was gonna say nothing in the fruit family. Just name like fucking worms. Like you're comparing apples to worms. Like there's no comparison. Like Promise Neverland season 2 will live in infamy for as like one of the worst sequels to come
Yeah.
out. But so I don't think it's fair to say that. I think it's one of those situations where it it was better off never being made if they were going to make it this way. You know what I mean? Like leave it. It was gone for what was it? 7 years, I think,
Something like that. I can
something
look it
like
up
that.
if you want to buy me some time.
Yeah. I mean, like it came out. The first season came out a long time ago, and people had already given up hope. Like we're not going to get a second season. Leave it at that.
9
So
years.
no, 9 years. Excuse me, even longer. So like I'm like,
2013, baby.
yeah, like just leave it. Leave it alone. Unless you're gonna do it really, really, really well. Like just don't touch it.
Yeah. Yep. But I guess we will move on then to the shows that we did finish, which is still kind of as long of a list, if not maybe a little shorter than what we've already been discussing,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I'm just gonna kick it off with the one show that we are gonna talk the least about because we will be recording an episode of Baka&Co about Call of the Night. Both you and I finished it. Both you and I absolutely loved the source material for this. uh, I don't want to grade it now because we'll be grading it later, but I think
Yeah.
that this show was brilliant. It's probably like looking at everything. I mean, it's definitely top 3 of the 5 that I watched. Whether it's in the number 2 slot or the number 1 slot is just like it could be a toss up between 3 shows.
Yeah.
I like there were 3 very quality shows that like I don't know where to put.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I want to say about it is that I was pleasantly surprised with how they took the source material and made it into like for film, like on screen. I was blown away by that piece. So if you want to hear our thoughts more, you'll have to wait till that episode airs.
You will have to wait a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
because we will be recording that next week, and that will be posted probably the week after, if I had to guess. So,
but in the meantime, you should go watch it so that we don't spoil it for you.
Yes, watch it, and then you can join in the conversation when we record it live, and you can tell us why we're stupid or wrong. So,
Yeah.
with Call of the Night out of the way, I finished 4 other shows, which majority of them or by a majority, I mean 2 of the others you watched as well. So let's just, I'll talk about one that you didn't watch, Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. This would probably take the number 4 slot, in my opinion, for the season for me. Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting was an absolute wholesome fucking show. Like, there's no other way to word it. I'm sure there are other ways to word it, but for the lack of better terms, or fancier terms that I can't think of
without
off the
having
top
a
of my head.
thesaurus in front of you.
The thesaurus. So I know it's just a joke. Without having a thesaurus in front of me, yeah, Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting was an absolute joy to watch. I definitely teared up a few times, definitely cried a few times. It's not even that it was like a sad show, it was more so like seeing this relationship between just this absolute demon of a human being in the mob, like this Yakuza, like make a friendship with the boss's daughter and be her babysitter and look after her, and all that entails, like them just kind of growing as people together, is really fucking great. It was well done. The animation was fine. The face, like the eyes in the show were, I mean, at least for the child that he befriends, the freaking eyeballs are so damn detailed. It's insane. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you looking at me with your big old deer eyes.
Big old eyes.
Deer in the headlights. But no, like it was a well animated, show. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is Demon Slayer Entertainment District. Like, it wasn't like anything mind blowing,
Yeah.
but for a slice of life, it was still really pretty. So I really got to hand it to them. This one took me by surprise. Like, I had seen it, I thought, oh, that's a funny premise. Maybe I'll watch an episode or two, and I was just hooked. It was a good feel good show. I know I said good feel good, but it was an overall great show. If you need a slice of life to go back to this season, this would definitely be my recommendation for just a slice of life. It's wholesome, it's great. There's a little bit of drama at the end, and it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I would say that the strongest thing about it was the character development. But the other show that I watched that you didn't, and I'll hop into this, and then you can hop into your show that I didn't watch. Made in Abyss season 2. Where to start with this one? It is, if you've seen season 1, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Season 2 is more of season 1 and 2, but if not, maybe more gruesome and more brutal and more heartbreaking than it's ever been before. Like, spoilers a little bit for season 1. Just close your ears for the next 15 seconds. If you thought the freaking scene, you have headphones on. If you thought the scene where they killed off the immortal friend was sad, you're not ready for season 2. You're not. It's just more heartbreak and more sadness and more phenomenal, just everything about this show. Like, the thing that I try to sell this show on, even though I know I just did a terrible job at selling this show, is that the world building is out of this fucking world with this show. The world building and the characters and their development in this world is mind-blowingly good. And to top it all off, you have a soundtrack made by probably one of the best composers, like anime composers out there right now, Kevin Penkin. Fucking absolutely just, it's so good. It's so good. The animation is great. The storytelling is bar none probably the best that is like out there currently in any show. Go watch Maid in Abyss. You will need a tissue box. You will be upset. You will like cringe, not in the fact of like, ooh, that's hard to watch. Like, this person's acting really weird. More so, oh, that's brutal. So I definitely would suggest it. It's not for everybody because of the brutality of the world and everything that's in it, but it's definitely a phenomenal show. So those are the two that I watched that you didn't watch. Please, sir, tell me about When Will Emu Make His Move.
I can't really say much because you're still watching it.
Well, I mean, I've read the source material. Does it go past what the 7 volumes that are out?
So that's what I want to talk about. First off, fantastic slice of life. I love it. It takes what is really perceived to be like a very kind of boring hobby of shogi, which for all intents and purposes is the equivalent of like chess for the most part. And doesn't make it interesting so much, but it does what kind of like what Daimon did last season, which is like they just use it as a common ground for other stories and plots to take place. And I like that. I like how they didn't have it be like the focal point. Sure, the main character, we'll call her the main character actually, uh, Urishi, like that's like her every day is shogi. Thinks about shogi, reads about shogi, plays shogi, talks about shogi. Like it's all shogi. Uh, and then a Yumu who is the Kohai, like the younger student
The
that joins the
Apprentice.
club. Yeah, however you want to
Well,
call
I
him.
guess yeah, a younger student is a yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Kohai.
Continue.
Yeah. Um, his whole motivation is like, I really like this girl, but I won't be able to ask her out until I beat her at shogi. And the unfortunate thing is that he sucks at shogi. That is not a spoiler. It is the literal back of like the first volume, and I think it's one of like the things it says like in the description for the show too. So don't worry, not spoiling anything too much here.
It is the
Um,
backbone of the show.
yeah. I mean, it's episode 1 is like stated very plainly that this is his whole purpose is like I want to get better at shogi so I can ask this girl out because I really like her. It goes deeper into some of the other friends, which I really like too. I like when a slice of life doesn't focus on exclusively the main characters and like just has those side characters around. Like they spend a good amount of time just on some of the side characters, like no main characters for large chunks of episodes,
I
which is
assume they
is
go into
good.
the library people, the 2 library people, and
Yep.
then I think they introduce the third club member at some point.
The fourth technically.
Well, technically the fourth, but yeah. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
they do go to where the manga is. I don't know if they go past it or not.
Well, so that's the last thing I want to say is that the current volumes out in North America, um, it does get through, but and it goes beyond it actually. Um, just it's not anything where you'd be like, whoa, they rushed through 7 volumes because what I caught on to was that they were actually strategically picking out pieces of the source material to put in the first season and leaving bits and pieces of the source material for what I fingers crossed can only assume is the second season because they did what I've said constantly about some other shows, which is like it's okay to deviate from the source material if it makes the actual anime better. And this like a Yumu does it really well. Where like if they left off where I thought they would in the source material, which would be like maybe the end of volume 4 into a little bit of volume 5, it would have been like a wow, this feels really stupid to leave off. It's not even a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah,
Whereas they instead were like, okay, we want to build it up to this one point that's beyond, like in volume 7. Now we have to kind of fill it in with other pieces that make sense. Let's take some from what's out, obviously, but then let's leave some of that stuff for later and let's pick and choose some of the source material that's out just in Japan and not out in physical volume in the United States because it's okay. It doesn't matter. Like they did that towards the end of the season. And I thought it was great still. Like even the new stuff, I'm like, even the stuff I had read too. I was like, oh, I love seeing it play out. Like I like seeing it in motion and kind of getting a sense for the actual feelings of the characters when it's spoken and it's in film form. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I mean they did a really good job with the source material. They did a fantastic job with incorporating shogi into a slice of life. And I think they did a really good job with the characters too. It's again, I speak highly of slice of life and really any any anime that
Animes.
spends time on not only its main characters but other characters too. So that way you kind of feel like they're important and they're not just ancillary to the story. Like you want it to be like, okay, I do kind of care about this person now. I don't mind seeing more of them.
Yeah.
That's what this does really well at. So uh, if you want to I know Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, Frank already said is the slice of life to go watch. And I know it's really good. I have to watch it myself. But if you want to have a similar experience to like not the emotional level of Daimon, but that level of like, ooh, here's like a really cool element to a slice of life, like sweets for Daimon, shogi for Ayumu, mixed in with very solid character development and and a really good story. Then I would go watch When Will Yuma Make His Move. It is a lot of fun.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's on my to watch list. I'm looking forward to it. Love the source material as we both discussed, but
Yeah.
we'll get there one day. Shows we finished. There are 3 shows that we both watched: Licorice Recoil, Don Machi, and of course Call of the Night. So we discussed very very briefly about Call of the Night. I think the next show I want to just kind of get into and just talk about would be Don Machi season 4,
Yeah.
which is part 1 of 2,
Yay.
probably, maybe. The weird thing about this one to me was that we didn't know it was going to be a 2-parter going in. We didn't find out until like the season just ended. And 2, that it was 11 episodes. I thought it would be, the normal 12, 13 episodes, but I understand from where they ended why they did 11 now. I think if they tried to drag that out for an extra episode to make 12, it would have felt a little cheap.
I'll also add to that and say that it did come out later in the season as well, I believe. I can double check that.
Yeah, it came out near
But I
the
want
end
to
of
say
it came out near the end of July, if I'm not mistaken.
July 21st.
Yeah.
Which compared to the other shows that were coming out, like the earliest show that we had was July 1st.
Yep.
But most other shows were coming out around the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So I mean, this was well into summer season. So I honestly I'm not that surprised that it's 11 episodes, but yeah, to your point, I was surprised when they were like, "Oh, by the way, there's going to be a second part." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Which I'm not complaining about by any means, because
No.
for all intents and purposes, I love this series. I think I enjoy reading it a bit more. I wouldn't say I like reading it more, because honestly the manga only goes up to partway through season 2 currently, but the spin-off manga is really fucking good, but also really dark, and that's kind of where this season goes this time around. It starts to show the really dark parts of this world and its people that inhabit it. Like in the spin-off, they go more into the not Hestia family, the Loki family, and they go into the past lives of the 2 Amazons that are with them, Tione and Tiona. They go into Bet's backstory, which is fucked. Like, it's super dark, and I was just like, man, where is this in Danmachi? Like, in the original show, where is this? I want to get to this stuff, because this stuff is really fucking good. And they finally decided, fuck it, we're gonna start it now. And the amount of like despair that these characters kind of have to endure and go through is insane, but also just really good just television. Honestly, I think this is like, if I were to rank the seasons as of right now, it's still 1 is the best, 3 is the second. This would probably be right after 3, and then 2 still being the last.
Yeah.
But for those of you who haven't watched Danmachi, here's another really poor explanation as to what this show is about. It's another take on gods coming down to the mortal world and becoming mortals and not having their powers, really, kind of, sort of. and like they do but they don't, and then they can give their blessing to humans so that they become part of their family, and when they give their blessing they become a little bit more powerful and they can level up by going into dungeons. And there's one really main dungeon of the world which is in Orario, and so people just make a living off of going into the dungeon, killing monsters, leveling up, and making names for themselves, etc. That's the generalized plot without going into too much detail. That actually wasn't a terrible description.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty solid. So that is like, if that sounds any sort of interesting to you, I would suggest watching it. The season 1 is very good. It is technically a harem anime, which, you know, season 1 I feel like is pretty egregious with its sort of like its fan service, but I feel like it gets better and only limits it to 1, maybe 2 characters a season.
I think season 2 is probably the most egregious, just because of the setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, I think it gets away from it. Should also be noted too, for any of you who are confused that we're calling it Danmachi, the full title is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yes, sorry about
which
that.
is quite a long title to constantly say. It's, I guess, known in Japan as Danmachi, and we just sort of picked it up.
The project, I believe it was called Project Danmachi, and that's why people just call it Danmachi.
Okay, yeah. Plus, it's easier to say. So if you're looking for it, don't look up Danmachi. It's is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Which, definitely like first season, to what you were saying, Frank, felt that way of like the kind of building out a harem ish sort of thing, and then into season 2, but definitely doesn't really go further into that towards season 3, and definitely not season 4 with the whole like, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in dungeon?
I feel like there are subtle hints to it, but like it just did not. It was like, no, we don't have time for that right now.
No, we're going more action. Like there's less picking up girls, more girls just sort of find their way, plus guys too. So hey, swinging both ways, I see. Into this
Belle,
giant,
good old 14-year-old Belle.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah, that piece we won't get into either. But yes, season 4.
Also, for those of you who are wondering, for the generalization summary, when I say gods and goddesses coming down to the world, I mean from like all different types of religions and theologies.
Yeah,
or mythologies.
I think I was gonna say mostly Greek and Roman. I think
there's
believe so.
Greek and Roman, and I know there's some Japanese in there as well. I'd have to really look up a list, but
basically there's just for those mythologies that have a lot of gods, like the god of fucking like rocks, like pebbles, like I'm the god of a pebble, like all of those mythologies. That's basically who's in Danmachi.
Minus like the big ones like Loki, Zeus. Technically,
well,
he's mentioned.
We have Loki, I thought.
No, I know. I'm saying, but you also have your big ones like Loki, Zeus, etc., etc.
Yeah.
They're just some of them are just kind of sprinkled in, while others are major players to the story.
Hermes.
Hermes. But
yeah.
Besides the point, season 4 was solid. I think it's still a very good show. Not as good as season 3 or 1, but those 2 seasons in specific were very good in my opinion. So it was a good showing. I'm looking forward to part 2 of season 4, which will air in January 2023.
I will say, and this is not a spoiler too, I will say that the first sort of half of this season felt like just kind of like a placeholder for what they wanted to do with the latter half that now extends into this part 2.
Yeah, I think it was more so just like a prep work for it. It was like, hey, don't be surprised when this happens.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought the season was really good. And I am going to be bold in my prediction and say that once part 2 comes out, looking at it as a whole, it'll probably surpass 3, might even get close to season 1 as being my favorite season, just because of the direction that they took this 4th season. I think it's like the perfect shift in what before was a fairly tame, I'd say, exploring of the dungeon for the most part, has now ventured into like we're getting into like the serious portions of the dungeon. We're learning more about just the dungeon as a whole too, and how it relates to the gods coming down, like what their whole connection is. Yeah, like that's really what I foresee being built out in this part 2, but they set it up really really well at the end of this season. Just the beginning of the season was like, cool, they're fighting another creature, and it's like, oh, it's smart.
Yeah.
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 Like,
It's overall it's a very good show. I really enjoy it. I
Yes.
mean, to me it's a solid 7.5 to an 8. I think like overall if you were combining all the seasons, I would probably put it at like I'd probably give it an 8 in my
yeah,
opinion.
I mean, no, I think overall I'd give it, yeah, at least an 8, maybe even 8.5. I mean, season 3 is season 1 alone, I think
Is very good.
would take, yeah. I mean, if you want
That's
to
a
give it a
solid
try,
9 just for the world building and the character development.
yes, yeah, it. I would say give it a try with season 1. Like, there are bits and pieces that I can foresee people getting caught up on, or caught up in, which is like sort of the pseudo etchiness. Obviously, the harem aspect lends itself to that too.
Yeah.
And then I could see people really not liking Hastia, just
Hestia.
personality wise.
Yeah.
Hestia,
Nope.
Chestia, as some people call her.
She's overbearing.
Good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but if you can get past it, I mean, season 1's fantastic. Season 2, not bad. It's a still an enjoyable watch, but definitely not as good. And then season 3 is fantastic. So excited to see where season 4 goes in the next part, but we'll have to wait until January or winter 2023.
Indubitably. But we got one last show real quick that we will talk about for this season, and that is Licorice Recoil, which is an original anime on Crunchyroll. Basically,
Yes.
this show is just John Wick with schoolgirls and non-lethal bullets.
Yes.
Quote unquote non-lethal bullets. The fucking bullets go through a goddamn car door, but doesn't kill him? Okay.
They can get away with some stuff. I don't
Semantics.
mind it. Yeah,
I absolutely like. I feel like a lot of people absolutely adored this show, and I'm in that camp.
so good. This
Like
show.
this is it's one of those weird shows on paper, but was absolutely like one of those. Every week I was like, yes, I'm ready. I'm looking forward to this show, and it was just that show that I had probably had the most fun with this season. I mean, between like I said, between 1, 2, and 3, I don't know where to put Licorice Recoil, Call of the Night, Maid and Abyss. They're all very good for all very, very different reasons. And that's why I'm like, I don't know where to put what. But I will say I probably had the most fun with Licorice Recoil because it was just the action was superb, the animation was great, the characters were cute. It just everything about this world and these characters and everything about it just oozed with like fuck, I can't even think of the word. Shit.
Why I wish I could help you.
I'm trying to think of the word. It's like you know how like Persona is like themed with jazz, like it just oozes with jazz. But what's the word? It oozes with personality. There's everything about this.
Sure.
Yeah. This show just oozes with personality, and it's so good. It's so fun. It's just a fun show.
And it has a lot of layers to it too, which I enjoyed.
There's something there is for everybody.
Yeah, there's still some mystery about, you slowly start to unravel all of the different knots and twists and stuff that they introduce pretty early on too, which is nice. It's not one of those weird builds of like here's one mystery, and then like halfway through it's like, oh, here's another mystery, and then a couple episodes later you're like, here's a third mystery, and then they all just sort of sputter out at the end. Yeah, it's like, no, here's your general synopsis of the world, what these characters, what they do, their purpose, the sort of bad guys at the beginning too ish. Like you get like a immediate conflict at the beginning too with the characters. So you kind of get it all at the beginning, but the way that they build everything out and expand on it, and it's again a slow roll to the very end where you're like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Superb. Like that aspect was awesome. But then I think if you're looking just for something action too, I mean, you can just watch this as well. Yep. But you think like, oh, a bunch of like schoolgirls, John Wick, it can't be that cool. Like, no, the action sequences are incredible. Animation alone is fantastic, but the choreography mixed with the music, mixed with like just the settings too at times, like sometimes it's in the middle of the night, sometimes it's in broad daylight, sometimes it's in a skyscraper, sometimes it's just in a park. Like it's really 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 well done.
Yeah.
And for an original too, holy moly.
Yeah. I
So
know
good.
that it's getting a manga adaptation. No, light novel adaptation. It may or may not be getting
I think it's getting a manga too,
I'll double check real
I
quick. But
believe.
yeah, everything about this show was great. Yes, it is getting a manga as well, and it's getting a light novel. And I don't know if it's getting a season 2, but I hope the hell it does because this show was
I mean,
so good.
truthfully, I loved where it ended. Again, no spoilers for anyone. But
Yeah,
it ended perfectly in my opinion.
yep,
Um, they could have gone one direction with it, instead they went another direction, and either way, I would have been happy with it. But yeah, it for a show that's an original that has a fairly interesting premise too, but nothing, out of the ordinary or super extraordinary by any means. It did such a good job. Like,
mm-hmm.
I think when we were previewing it and we read the synopsis, we were like, okay, yeah, this sounds interesting. And I think we were both hooked after episode 1. We were like, oh yeah, no, this is immediate full bucket. We're going all the way through. This is not the college 3-episode trial. Like this is a for sure staple for summer.
Yeah,
And I think it stuck true every single week.
yeah. I don't think
Definitely did not take its foot off the gas. It was
there wasn't
astounding.
an episode any of the weeks that I was just like, this was just fine. This was okay.
Yeah.
This was just mid, but it was consistently a blast. It
Yeah.
was really really good.
Yeah, even the episodes that didn't have action too. There was still a lot there that made it entertaining. Like you didn't have to have a gunfight or a hand-to-hand combat or a flashback to when the characters were going through training or anything. Like you could just have an episode where they're out on recon and then you're diving deep into the history of a particular person, or you're starting to slowly unwind that one mystery to figure out what's going on. Like every single episode was entertaining from start to finish because it had the action, the mystery, and the characters so well built out that you could just focus on one, couple, all of it, and it would make for a fantastic episode week to week.
Yeah,
So huge, 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 huge props to Licorice Recoil and A1 Studios, A1 Pictures. Um, because yeah, this one was a knock out of the park, home run, grand slam, hat trick, touchdown,
agreed. But
slam dunk.
with that being said, I was gonna say if we have enough time, I'll go over if we've watched anything in the fall. But we are running out of time, so we are not gonna do a fall preview of what we've already watched, even though
It's only
you've
been one
watched
episode.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's only been one episode, but let's give this bitch a grade. Summer 2022. How would you grade it?
It was hard. It was really hard because I was looking back at winter and spring grades and being like, did I really grade those that way? Huh. Um, I'm gonna give it a B minus, and I'm gonna give it a B minus because the shows that I was like, yeah, no, these are gonna be great. We're great. Call the Night, Danmachi, Overlord, from what I had watched, all great. The shows that I was like, yes, I have high hopes for, but it's gonna depend on how they're adapted. Uh, like a Yumu was good. Licorice Recoil again is an original, so there was no adaptation. Really good. But the ones where I was like, okay, these can be good. Like they have to be good, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they need to be good. Not good. Devil is a part timer. Not good. Harem, because of all of the like, I wouldn't even say hype. It was just the advertising and the promotion of it. Like I'm like, okay, it has to be good because yes, it's gonna be etchy and it's gonna be a fan servicey to the umpteenth degree. We know that, but the story itself has to be good, right? No, not good. Like, was not enjoyable. And then the ones that I gave tries to, like the maid I recently hired as Mysterious, I was like, you know what, could be interesting. Was not interesting. I'm looking through other ones too that I didn't even say before, but like I didn't even get around to watching Phantom of the Idol or Teppen too. And
Yeah, I forgot I watched episode 1 of Phantom of the Idol.
yeah, yeah. And then like my stepmom's daughter's my ex was interesting. Like was good. Was a good slice of life, but I it was very slow. I will say it did have sort of like the slowness to it that I was like, okay, I can give it a week off and I'll watch something else. So can't really fault it that much for that. But I think the biggest reason, looking at my grade now, the biggest reason why I gave Summer a B minus is because we still have yet to watch Summertime Rendering.
Yep.
And I
That
know
would
that
have
would
been
have been
core 2, but yeah.
yeah, it would have been core two. Yeah. But I mean I you know, can't blame that for the whole season, but I think that sort of encapsulates my whole thought of it, which is like there were a good handful of shows that I'm like, I've either watched the previous seasons or read it. I know it's going to be good. That, yes, they were good. And then there were the other shows where I'm like, okay, I need these to be good to fill in the extra space I had for this season. And they were lackluster or just downright bad.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have those ones from like spring or winter even where you're like, whoa, caught off guard, right? Like for me, it was Daimon, like completely caught off guard. That's why I was like, yes, this incredible for sure. Even like Akabi's sailor uniform for me, which I think was winter, summer, or no, it might have been summer or spring. I mean, excuse me. I was
One
like,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah, like that was my dark horse, my like, yeah, holy shit, this was really good, and I wouldn't have expected it. I just didn't have that this season. And I wouldn't even say Licorice Recoil was that because we read the synopsis and I was like, yeah, no, I think this is going to be good. And first episode was like an immediate yes. It wasn't like you had to watch it to figure out if it's good. It was like no, we know this is going to be good. Like it was pretty obvious from the beginning. So I didn't have that underdog show to really lean on to be like, oh yeah, no, this season was solid. Like I was surprised by a couple here and there. It was like no, the ones I thought were going to be good ended up being good, and the ones that I was hopeful for ended up being poopy.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
For me, I gave it a B minus minus. This is like an 80, like a literal 80 out of 100. That's like, to me, that's what
I'd say it's a 79.9, and the teacher just
oh,
rounded you up.
yeah, where I went to school, 80 was the lowest. B minus, yeah, 79.75 or
There you go.
79.51 or whatever shit.
Yeah.
This was like as low B minus as I would ever get. I think it was better than Winter, but I also think that that's because Winter had worse shows overall than this one did. Like the shows that were bad in Winter were truly horrendous, while the shows in Summer that were bad were like, this is bad, this isn't as bad, but this is bad.
Yeah.
I think, there were shows that I was looking forward to. We've already talked about them all. Um, the shows that I thought would be great and good, they were. Made in Abyss really fucking pulled through and tugged at those heartstrings again. And if you're looking at Mal, actually, it is the highest rated show this season. So there's a little tidbit for you there. Woo! I knew Made in Abyss would be great. I knew Call of the Night. I had my doubts about the art style. Like the one weird fucking vending machine shadow thing really still bugged the shit
Yeah.
out of me, and that worried me. But after that, it was great. Don Machi, I knew was gonna be solid, or I at least hoped it was gonna be solid, and I was like, okay. Anything else is extra. Let's see if the shows that are trying to make a comeback are good. Let's see if these weird shows that I never heard of, like Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, are any good. No, okay, cool. But like in that pile of what can be good, we did find a good couple gems like Licorice Recoil and Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. So it was one of those things that the shows that I was hoping would be good were good. The shows that were trying to make a comeback weren't. I didn't even give a shit about Overlord, as you know, and as if you've been a long time listening to this, you know I don't like Overlord. So it was never a chance I was gonna watch it. But solidly a B minus minus, like the lowest B minus you can give a person, a show, a thing. That's what this was. So Fall 2022. We've already done the preview. Week 1 and like week point 0.5 has already happened. And man, I've watched 3 shows already and I'm so excited. I need to find time because like I
Oh
will
yeah.
definitely be making more of an effort to watch shows at night. I kind of slacked this season, but this season, this fall, I can't. Like I need to start watching shows like in bed more often because we
Yeah.
discussed before the show there's probably a solid 7 shows on the we are watching this list, while there are like 7 more shows on the we'll give a 3 episode try, and then a few shows on the 1 episode. So
I'm on the optimist train. I think I counted out like 10 or 11 on the for sure watching, and just
yeah,
like an additional 3 or 4 on the we'll give it a try. Um I honestly need to like write down in my planner or calendar like every single show that comes out when it comes out, so I can be like, okay, I need to time this throughout the week so I know I'm staying on top of it, because if
you're
I
gonna
couldn't
fall
keep up
behind.
with, oh yeah, I mean, I only had 4 shows I finished and 3 other shows that I wanted to finish from this season, and I have, again, I think I have 14 or 15 that are, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna watch it for sure. Like I'm gonna do it, or at
Good
least
luck to you,
try.
buddy.
Yeah, like I don't know. Um, I mean, my
Yep.
hope is that there'll be shows where I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna wait for it to come out in its entirety. Like I don't need to watch it right now, but I'm just gonna get sucked in. I know.
Yeah.
Spy Family, My Hero, Chainsaw Man, Bleach, Eminence, Reincarnated as a Sword, Uzaki, like the list goes on and on and on.
I'm
So I'm
just
like,
happy that some of these are actually coming out on the weekend rather than the weekdays. Like a majority of the shows I
yeah,
feel like we watched this season came out on like Thursdays or Mondays or something like that. This
yeah,
season, like Spy Family and what is it? My Hero come out on Saturdays. Mobile Suit Gundam, Witch from Mercury, is on a Sunday, and then you got random shows during the weekends. So,
yeah. The other thing
but
I'll note too is that it's really nice that most of the episodes, if they haven't come out already, because some have aired already, as you
mhm.
noted, they all are starting around the same time, like during the month or
Yep.
during the season, I should say. So that's another nice thing. You're not having to be like, oh shit, this show comes out 3
I
weeks
think there
later.
was like 1 or 2 that do start at a
uh,
weird date, but
two Your Eternity, and then 2 other ones that we couldn't give a shit about,
fair enough.
start way later. So, yeah, I just I'm
Well,
physically, emotionally ready for fall, just not mentally, because I don't know if I'll be able to keep up, but
Well,
we'll
if you're
see.
mentally still with us, thank you all for joining us this week. Greatly appreciate it. We'll be back next week with news and previews, and more reviews if we want for shows that we didn't watch. And I know that am currently watching spooky shows because it's spooky season, so
Ooh,
I will be giving some
ghost
reviews and
stories.
talking about that in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. If you want the conversation to continue, please head over to @Baka&Co Podcasts on Twitter, where you can join our Discord, yell at us on Twitter and everywhere else. And yeah, just have a good time with us and keep the conversation going. So until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.